Sunday morning, June 14th, 2026. Over Rio de Janeiro, the sky is doing what it always does on a clear day, filling with helicopters. Charles Marsillac is alone in the cockpit of an AS-350 Écureuil, lifting off on what looks like the least eventful flight of his week, a short repositioning hop from central Rio to Guaratiba. No passengers, no charter, just a pilot moving his aircraft to where it needs to be. He's 60, nothing new to him. Nearly 2 decades in the cockpit, enough that people who fly with him don't call him careful, they call him serious. Tracking data will later show his aircraft's last position, a cruise so routine it's almost boring. 800 feet, just over 100 knots. Nothing in the numbers raises a flag. But somewhere in that same crowded airspace, something about this Sunday is different. Another helicopter is sharing Marsillac's route, and for reasons no one can explain, it never shows up on radar. Not air traffic control, not the pilot flying it, no one. Within minutes, Charles Marsillac, a man who once loved music almost as much as flying, will be gone. What actually happened in the sky above Rio that morning, and why one aircraft was invisible to everyone else in it, took investigators weeks to piece together. This is that story. Within minutes, Marsillac will be one of 6 people killed. 2 aircraft with no way of seeing each other, colliding at the same altitude. How does that happen? How did 2 helicopters on the same published route at the same height end up on a collision course with no one, not a controller, not a pilot, able to warn them? That answer doesn't come easy. To get there, we have to go back further than that Sunday morning. The aircraft closing in on Marsillac is a Bell 206 Jet Ranger. It isn't empty. At the controls, Alexandre Souza, 59, 10 days from a 60th birthday he'll never see. Behind him, 4 passengers, 3 visitors, 1 Rio native who built his career abroad. Oliver Tree, 32, is barely 2 weeks into a 70-date world tour. The day before, he'd posted himself playing soccer in a Rio neighborhood. Beside him, Lucas Frota, a Brazilian DJ who spent nearly a decade building a career between Miami and Los Angeles. With them, 2 Argentines, filmmaker Lucas Vignale, fresh off a premiere at the Berlin Film Festival, and content creator Gaspi Prim Diaz, known back home for brash, in-your-face street interviews. All 4 are headed to Angra dos Reis on the coast, reportedly to shoot a music video, though that's never been confirmed. 2 helicopters, 2 unconnected charters, booked by 2 unconnected groups, moving through the same sky on the same Sunday morning. Nothing unusual about that. It's exactly the kind of morning Rio's coastal corridors fill with weekend charters headed to the beaches and islands south of the city. Both pilots are seasoned professionals, the kind other pilots trust. What isn't ordinary, flight records will later show both aircraft were following the exact same published corridor at the exact same altitude, converging on the same 2 waypoints, a route Rio's helicopters share constantly, uneventfully, every single day. Today won't be every day. And none of the 10 people with a stake in this flight, 4 passengers, 2 pilots, the controllers watching their radar, know the one detail that matters most. Only one of these 2 aircraft can actually be seen. 40 years before that Sunday morning, Charles Marsillac isn't dreaming about helicopters. He's a teenager in 1980s Rio, playing guitar in a bar band called Esqueleto, sharing stages most nights with another young musician named Tony Garrido, years before Garrido would front Cidade Negra and become one of Brazil's biggest reggae stars. That friendship outlasted the bar gigs. In 1994, Cidade Negra released Minha Irmã on the album Sobre Todas as Forças, one of the best-selling reggae records in Brazilian history, credited to Garrido, da Gama, and Marsillac. Aviation comes later. Marsillac doesn't become a professional pilot until 2007, 20-plus years after those bar band nights, and even then, music never quite lets him go. Online, he lists his job as helicopter pilot. Underneath it, half-joking, hobby, composer, musician. Alexandre Souza's path looks nothing like it. No band, no record credit, just years building a name as a dependable charter pilot. The kind operators call when a client needs someone experienced at the controls. 2 different roads, same profession, same city, same crowded stretch of sky. By 60, Marsillac has logged nearly 2 decades in the cockpit, a wife and 3 kids waiting most nights, 2 daughters and a son. None of that explains what's about to happen above Guaratiba. But it's why this story doesn't start with a flight plan. It starts with a man who spent half his life choosing between 2 cockpits and somehow ended up needing both. Subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. That Sunday morning, 2 flight plans are coming together in 2 different parts of Rio. Marsillac's is simple. Get the AS-350 from downtown to Guaratiba, nothing loaded but the aircraft itself. Across the city, Souza's charter is filling up. Oliver Tree, Lucas Frota, Lucas Vignale, and Gasper Prime Diaz are gathering to head for Angra dos Reis, cameras and gear in tow. The passenger list almost looked different. Tiago Alcantara had been invited along by Frota and said yes, a seat he ultimately didn't take, citing a commitment already on his calendar. Music producer Victor WAO had a seat booked too, right up until the moment he didn't want it anymore. He was afraid to fly. Frota didn't push it. He arranged a car to Angra instead, no hard feelings, and let someone else take the seat. WOW would later put it simply in a message to Frota that read almost like a joke at the time. Now I owe you my life. Nobody boarding that helicopter treats any of this as significant. Seats get swapped on charter flights constantly. A logistics footnote, not a moment anyone marks. Cameras roll for a minute of departure footage. Doors close, rotors spin up on both aircraft in 2 corners of the city within minutes of each other. 2 pilots, 2 4 passengers between them. One ordinary Sunday morning in one of the most helicopter-heavy skies in South America. What none of them can see yet is the first thing that's already gone wrong. This isn't the first time this stretch of Rio's sky has ended in disaster. Back in February 1960, a U.S. Navy DC-6 and a Brazilian DC-3 collided near Sugarloaf Mountain over Guanabara Bay, a different stretch of coastline, but not the city's first air disaster. 61 people died. Rio's airspace has been reshaped by tragedy before. 66 years of mostly uneventful flying sits on top of that history, which is exactly why nobody treats this Sunday as anything but routine. The 2 aircraft are still closing. What was, minutes ago, a shared flight plan on paper is now shared airspace in fact, the distance between them shrinking from kilometers to seconds. Neither pilot has any system flagging that shrinking gap. The other aircraft simply isn't showing up on radar for reasons still unclear. Souza, for his part, is just flying the route he filed, the way he's flown routes like it for years. 2 aircraft, same altitude, same corridor, closing on the same 2 waypoints. As far as either flight's instruments can tell, still just 2 ordinary helicopters on 2 ordinary Sunday jobs. The margin between ordinary and catastrophic on a corridor like this was never wide. Today, it's about to disappear entirely. 2 flight paths drawn independently by 2 different operators are now occupying the same few seconds of sky.
And the systems built to look on everyone's behalf aren't seeing this either. Air traffic radar has nothing to track on one of the two aircraft. It isn't there on any screen for anyone. The margin that existed minutes ago, kilometers of open corridor, room enough for two helicopters to share a route safely, has narrowed to single-digit seconds. There's no version of this flight left where both aircraft simply pass by, unaware of each other, and land the way they were supposed to. That window is already gone. Back above Rio, the distance that started this story as two unrelated Sunday charters has closed to almost nothing. What happens in the next few seconds is what investigators would spend weeks afterward trying to reconstruct. The last thing Marsillac's aircraft will ever transmit is almost aggressively unremarkable. Roughly 800 feet up, just over 100 knots, a normal cruising profile, the kind that wouldn't raise an eyebrow on any other Sunday. That single data point matters more than it should because it's one of the only hard records investigators will have. Souza's helicopter, the one carrying Tree and the others, left no tracking data at all. Never picked up by radar, not for a single second of its flight. No cockpit voice recorder, no flight data recorder, no transcript of whatever passed between either pilot on that unmonitored frequency. From Marsillac's wreckage, investigators would recover a portable GPS and data from an onboard camera. From Souza's, nothing, destroyed in the post-crash fire. Below, a Sunday in Recreio dos Bandeirantes looks like every other one. People on balconies, in cars, walking dogs, half-tuned to the low, constant hum of rotor blades that's just part of the soundtrack of living under one of Rio's busiest helicopter corridors. A sound residents stopped consciously hearing years ago. In a few seconds, that changes for good. Neither cockpit has anything left to warn it. Neither aircraft's instruments show anything out of the ordinary, because, as far as those instruments can tell, nothing is. The gap that started this story as two flight plans filed an ocean apart from each other's awareness has closed completely, not down to seconds anymore, but to the space of a single breath. The two aircraft come together above a patch of land with an odd history of its own. An unfinished church, abandoned mid-construction years earlier, more recently rented out as a storage lot for a Chinese electric vehicle maker. Nobody investigating the crash cares about that detail for its own sake. It's about to matter anyway. A resident named Adriana is watching from her balcony, almost directly beneath it. She'd later describe one helicopter falling nose down, flipping over, coming to rest with its landing gear pointing straight up. An intense scene, she called it. The bell explodes on impact. Flames spread fast across the lot, catching roughly 20 parked electric vehicles, turning what should have been a straightforward aviation fuel fire into something closer to a battery fire, a distinction that changes everything about how it has to be fought. The AS-350 doesn't ignite, but comes down hard, landing gear skyward. Within minutes, around 45 firefighters and 15 vehicles are on scene. Drones overhead helping assess a blaze. Crews have to fight with continuous cooling techniques built for lithium chemistry, not jet fuel. Pieces of wreckage hit a nearby residential building, one fragment tearing through a balcony, another landing on a rooftop's solar panels. Identifying everyone on board isn't simple. It takes 2 full days until June 16th for dental records to confirm the final name on the list, Oliver Tree. 6 people, 2 pilots, 4 passengers, 2 ordinary Sunday flights filed by 2 people never met, ending together in the same few square meters of Rio de Janeiro. Charles Marsillac never made it to Guaratiba. Before we get to why it happened, the extended, more detailed cut of this story is up on Spotify right now. And if this is your first time here, subscribing costs nothing and means you catch the next one. So what actually caused it? Here's the honest answer. As of CENIPA's preliminary report, nobody's officially saying yet. Brazilian Air Force procedure holds that preliminary reports identify what happened, not why.
The final cause determination comes later in a report that, as of this video, still hasn't been released.
What the preliminary findings do show is a stack of smaller gaps that happen to line up at once. An aircraft that never once showed up on radar for reasons the report doesn't explain. A coordination frequency nobody records. No cockpit voice or flight data recorders on either aircraft. 2 flight plans that, filed independently, ended up sharing the exact same corridor and altitude. No single one of those things is unusual on its own. Rio's helicopters fly that way constantly. It's the overlap that turned routine into catastrophe. Whether any of that changes, mandatory transponders, monitored frequencies, different equipment rules for light helicopters, is still sitting with regulators. Too early to say. What isn't uncertain is what got left behind. A wife and 3 children who won't get Charles Marsillac back. A song that still carries his name in the writing credits, whether anyone remembers that or not. 5 other families going through the same thing on the other side of a city that on any other Sunday would have simply gone on being loud with rotor blades and nothing else. He never made it to Guaratiba. That's really the whole story underneath everything else. If this kind of reporting is worth your time, the full audio breakdown is on Spotify, and subscribing means you're here for the next one. Thanks for watching.